Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. We are back for day 3 of the challenge. Today does not require you to get up from wherever you are or move to any different rooms, which is really nice. So today I want to talk a little bit about behavior, because a lot of people that I talk to, morning Monica, say that they like people watching because everybody's so different and they like to see if they can figure out what's going on. But how much do we really know about why people do things and motivations behind it? Because yes, we know our pets very well, but if we don't understand body language and our pet's specific body language, then it makes it difficult to interpret how they're feeling. Because, for example, lip licking, in a lot of cases, pet parents assume that it means that they're hungry. It's actually a sign of stress in some cases. So if the animal's being held for something like a vaccine or going in the car and they don't particularly like the car, they're going to lick their lips more, because it is a sign of stress and it helps them relieve that stress by giving them something to do. So if you notice in certain situations that your pet gives off stress signals, then maybe you need to find a different way to approach that situation. For example, if your pet hates being groomed, which not a lot of pets enjoy it, but some of them do, you can try and make the situation more positive. So for Kaya, she used to be terrified of being groomed. And her head would go down, her tail would go down, and she would shake while she was groomed. And now I do it at home, and I try and make it fun. So when the weather's nice, we go out in the backyard, and she'll lay on her back, and I'll give her a belly rub, and I'll trim the hair on her belly while she's, laying on her back. And then she'll lay on her side, and then I'll do her feet, and then, we'll play ball for a minute, give her a treat, and then we'll move to the next part just so she kind of enjoys it. Now if I say, Kaya, do you want a haircut? She'll get all excited because she knows that she gets all the things that come with it, even if she doesn't particularly enjoy the actual haircut. One of my other techniques for that is Rescue Remedy. Hi, Vanessa. If you haven't heard of Rescue Remedy, it's a Bach flower essence. It's a combination of several of the calming ones, and it's very helpful for trauma. So again, if your dog hates going in the car, it's a really good one to give before your pet gets in the car. If your pet doesn't like grooming or when you have big groups of people over, then that's another way that you can use it. But if you give it to them before, their mental state is calm when the event actually occurs or the trigger occurs. So they'll start to associate that trigger with that emotion, which makes it less stressful each time you do it. But the purpose of today's video, that was a bit of a tangent, is to talk about how well you know your species behavior. Because in certain cases, behaviors that they display are typical for that animal or that breed, and because the pet parents did or didn't do research into the background of the breed beforehand, then sometimes you miss key character traits. So for example, herding dogs, like Border Collies, Australian Shepherds, they have kind of like a stalking behavior. Sometimes if they're watching something that's moving and getting closer or going further away, they'll kind of lower their front end and sneak really slowly with their eyes really focused. And not all breeds do that. So if you know your breed specifically, you can learn to interpret their behavior a little better, because usually when Kaya goes into that mode, she's either playing with other dogs or she sees a squirrel or a rabbit or something, and now she's in prey mode, right? So my question for you today is, what if you spent time just watching your pet in different situations? So whether it's going into the car, walking past a certain trigger, whether it's getting to a stoplight, what does your dog do? Whether you are leading your horse and you walk past a certain area of the barn and they always spook when they walk past that part. What is it about that area that makes them spook? So learning to interpret their behavior a little better, because there are a lot of misunderstandings that would make this situation very easy to interpret incorrectly. So if you don't know that much about your breed or your species, I would highly suggest doing a little bit of research into it. When I got Kaya, my boss at the time gifted me a book about Australian Shepherds specifically, so I could learn a lot more about the breed. But it gives you a better sense of how they're feeling, because a lot of times we can't tell, and I've had quite a few animal communication clients lately who said, there's so many times I'm watching what they're doing and I feel like they're trying to tell me something with their behavior, but I'm not exactly sure. So sometimes if you don't have the option of an animal communicator, then sometimes you practicing your skills of being able to interpret what they're saying and being able to pair, because sometimes it's not just one part of the body. If their tail's happy in one situation, but they're pairing it with an anxious eye, then it's probably not a happy tail wag, it's probably a more anxious or nervous tail wag. So being able to combine the pieces of the body language is really important. That is the next ebook that I'm going to work on. I am just finishing up the nutrition one, but it's taking quite a while because there's a lot of research, and for those who purchase it, you will find out why. There is an 8-page chart in it about vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. So it took quite a bit of background research for that one. But take a minute to consider how well you know your pet's body language, and especially around specific other people or animals. How does that behavior change? And we'll tell you a little bit about the dominance hierarchy between your animal and the other animals or beings in the situation, but it gives you a good idea about where you can be there to support your pet. So for Kaya, most of you know she's been attacked twice, both by off-leash dogs, and sometimes if a really excited dog comes right up to her face, she gets very uncomfortable, and her body language presents that way. And usually if they get within, I'd say, about 5-6 feet, usually they'll ask if she's friendly, and I say sometimes, but I can't guarantee, because, and then I explain what happened, and they say, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, and then they'll give us a wider berth, because I don't want to put her in that uncomfortable situation. There are a lot of times, there are dogs that she loves, and she'll kind of get excited for a minute or two at the beginning and then calm down, and then she's fine. But I'd rather work with her on it first before presenting her with a bunch of strange dogs. So it gives me a chance to kind of work on my bond with her, as well as supporting her in her healing from that trauma. So just something to consider. So the frame of the challenge for today is to just watch your pet, observe their body language, and see if you learn something new. Because oftentimes, even with people we spend a lot of time with, just by observing them and watching facial expressions and things like that, you can learn a lot more about someone, or things that they don't say, but you can tell how they feel about certain interactions, and it gives you more to talk to them about, and it allows you to be more present when you're with them, because you can be there to support them for things like trauma or things that make them uncomfortable, or anything like that. But that is today's challenge. I hope the one yesterday wasn't too complicated, so I hope that went okay. And the weather held out, at least up here. We were supposed to get crazy thunderstorms, and it never happened, thank goodness. But I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's a little more science-y, and then the last day is about food. Spoiler alert! Don't forget to comment below if you have any questions, and if you're participating, don't forget to comment in the video below. Have a wonderful day, Monica. You too. I will see you all tomorrow.